Welcome to Whispers and Confessions. There might be a twist waiting, so please make sure to watch until the end. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Let's begin right away.
The desperate plea, "Please don't stop," still echoes in my memory, along with the sight of my husband's downcast face filled with despair. That evening, while grappling with concerns about our intimacy, my husband dropped a bombshell. He suggested something that left me speechless: wife swapping. I'm Olivia, 55, a Boston suburban housewife. My husband Jacob, 58, still keeps busy as a senior consultant at his company post-retirement. Our life used to be picture perfect: weekend hikes, backyard BBQs with friends, and regular tennis matches where Jacob always made sure I tagged along. Now our kids have flown the nest with families of their own, and while life's quieter these days, we've found our own rhythm of mutual understanding. But there's this elephant in the room: our physical intimacy. Despite Jacob's loving smiles and warm hugs that show his affection, something vital is missing between us. It's been over a year since we've been intimate. How did we get here? Back in the day, we were passionate lovers who delighted in pleasing each other. From trying to conceive to keeping the spark alive after having kids, we weren't shy about exploring new dimensions of our relationship. We weren't afraid to spice things up with toys or get creative with different settings and positions. Sure, it made us blush sometimes, but it brought us closer, deepening our understanding of each other. But as our kids grew older, those intimate moments became fewer and farther between until they practically vanished. When we became empty nesters, I hoped we'd rediscover that youthful passion. One night, I pulled out all the stops: candles, wine, the works. But Jacob's body just wouldn't respond. Even with my sexiest lingerie, most alluring perfume, and all my efforts at arousal, nothing worked. I tried to blame it on the wine, but standing there looking in the mirror, those nagging thoughts crept in. Have I lost my sex appeal? Am I not attractive anymore? The reality of aging hit hard: the sagging skin, multiplying gray hairs, and my body's changes from pregnancy and motherhood. Was it inevitable that Jacob no longer saw me as desirable? The thought was devastating. My sexual desires haven't faded with time. I can still vividly recall our passionate early years, that electric excitement of discovering each other. Back then, we were the perfect match, both in and out of the bedroom. I long to rekindle that fire. These feelings haven't diminished with age. If anything, they've grown richer and more complex. We've just lost our way of expressing them. As our physical connection dwindled, I worried our emotional bond would follow. Dinner conversations grew sparse, and we'd often doze off in front of the TV. Just when I feared our marriage was crumbling, Jacob came out with his shocking proposal. "What would you think about trying wife swapping?" His voice quivered, but his eyes were dead serious. I thought I must have misheard. When it sank in, I was livid. The mere thought of my husband with another woman, me with a stranger, it was unthinkable. But during our heart-to-heart that followed, Jacob opened up about his own struggles. He confessed to secretly trying Viagra without success. When he'd confided in his colleague Steve, wife swapping came up as a suggestion. Steve shared his years of experience with other couples, and Jacob had given it serious thought. "I won't push you into anything," he assured me, "but it might be the spark we need." Looking into his earnest eyes, I realized this wasn't some twisted fantasy, but a genuine attempt to save our marriage. My emotions were all over the place, but seeing his vulnerability, his trembling voice and worried eyes, helped me understand the depth of his struggle with this decision. As Jacob pointed out, this wasn't about mere physical gratification. I began to see it as perhaps our last shot at saving our marriage. When he took my hand in his, that familiar warmth brought back 2 decades of shared memories: our laughter, tears, and unwavering support for each other. That simple touch gave me the courage to take this leap of faith for the sake of our relationship. 2 days later, we met the other couple at an upscale restaurant in the Marriott Hotel. My hands wouldn't stop shaking, and Jacob kept fidgeting with his tie, clearly as nervous as I was. The couple Steve introduced was about 5 years our senior, but they carried themselves with sophisticated grace. While Steve had suggested several couples, Jacob carefully chose just one, believing it was crucial to find people who shared our values. I'll admit, I had secretly hoped for a younger couple, fantasizing about the energy and excitement that someone in their late 20s or early 30s might bring to the situation. I yearned to recapture that spark of youth, that electric thrill I hadn't felt in ages. Deep down, I hoped their vitality might rub off on us somehow. Looking back now, though, Jacob's wisdom in choosing a couple closer to our age proved spot on. We could relate to each other's life experiences. And boy, did this couple exceed our expectations. Frank, the husband, was a senior analyst at a global investment firm, while his wife Sharon exuded elegance from head to toe. Her elegantly styled hair framed a face that had aged gracefully, and her yoga-toned body made me catch my breath. Looking at her, I felt a pang of insecurity. Would Jacob make comparisons? Could he fall for someone so stunning? My confidence wavered as I considered my own body, marked by the years. But Jacob's gentle squeeze of my hand and loving glances put my fears to rest. Sharon, too, turned out to be wonderfully down-to-earth, her warm smile instantly making me feel at ease. Dinner conversation flowed like wine. Frank's eyes lit up as he gestured animatedly about classical music, particularly when diving into the intricacies of Beethoven's Fifth. Sharon and I bonded over cooking, swapping recipes, and giggling over her secret chocolate mousse technique. Jacob, though quieter than usual, loosened up after a glass of wine. What could have been awkward turned into a delightful evening with kindred spirits. As we finished our meal, Frank's eyes met mine over his espresso. "Are you ready?" he asked softly, his voice carrying a hint of anticipation. I glanced at Jacob, who gave a slow, reassuring nod. My heart fluttered like a teenager's, and despite my lingering doubts, Frank's gentle smile somehow made everything feel right. With trembling fingers, I nodded my agreement. We rode the elevator together, and at Sharon's suggestion, decided to share a suite. Having Jacob nearby provided a comfort I desperately needed. Sharon and I headed to one bathroom together while the men took the other to freshen up. Sharon's beauty took my breath away. Her figure was stunning, defying her years with the kind of tone that only dedicated daily yoga could achieve. Just when my self-confidence threatened to crumble, she surprised me with genuine compliments about my own body, helping me relax. She shared her luxurious body wash, encouraging me to unwind. Before long, we were chatting and laughing like old friends, our initial awkwardness melting away into natural, easy conversation. After the shower, nervous anticipation coursed through my veins. Standing there, the weight of what was about to happen hit me full force. My heart hammered against my chest as Sharon's gentle touch landed on my shoulder. "Just breathe," she whispered soothingly, but my shaking hands showed how nervous I was. As reality sank in, I found myself caught in a whirlwind of emotions, heart racing with both anxiety and an unexpected thrill of excitement. We emerged from the bathroom wrapped in the hotel's terry cloth robes, immediately feeling the weight of appreciative male gazes. Frank's eyes, in particular, traced my silhouette with such intensity that butterflies danced in my stomach. The attention made my cheeks flush hot. It had been so long since I'd felt desired like this. Across the room, Jacob's reaction to Sharon was unmistakable. His quickened breathing and darkened eyes stirred a mix of jealousy and pain within me. Frank's arm slipped naturally around my waist as he murmured, "Shall we?" gesturing toward one of the beds. I followed his lead, perching on the edge of the king-size mattress while watching Jacob guide Sharon to the other bed. "Are you worried about your husband?" Frank asked gently, genuine concern lacing his words. "I'm okay," I replied, my voice soft but steady. His fingers threaded through my hair, sending electric shivers down my spine. Each caress along my shoulders, waist, and stomach drew quickened breaths from my lips, my pulse racing faster with every touch. His experienced hands moved with the familiarity of a longtime lover, but self-consciousness crept in as his fingers grazed my stomach. "Does it disappoint you that I'm not as trim as Sharon?" I whispered, vulnerability threading through my words. Frank's warm smile reached his eyes as he leaned close, his breath tickling my ear. "I find natural curves far more alluring." His whispered sweet nothings continued as his hand traced delicate patterns along my inner thigh. Each touch was masterfully measured, careful yet confident. With every compliment about my body, my self-assurance grew, and warmth bloomed throughout my body in anticipation. I felt ready, more than ready. When his fingers finally found that sensitive spot, a moan escaped involuntarily from my lips. "Just relax and enjoy," Frank encouraged softly, but I couldn't help trembling with a mix of embarrassment and arousal. Catching movement from the corner of my eye, I turned to find Jacob watching me intently from the adjacent bed. His expression held a hunger I'd never witnessed before, a raw desire that made my breath catch. Each time Sharon's red lips grazed his neck, his breathing grew more ragged, and I found my own heart racing in response. Sharon had transformed completely. Gone was her earlier refinement. Now she moved with uninhibited passion, touching Jacob as though they'd been lovers for years. The room filled with their shared gasps and moans, and I watched, mesmerized, as Jacob struggled to contain his pleasure. What truly stunned me was Jacob's physical response. After months of dysfunction with me, he was now fully aroused with Sharon. The sight sent conflicting emotions coursing through me, a sharp stab of betrayal mixed with crushing self-doubt. Why was he able to respond to her when he couldn't with me? The experience of being intimate with someone new while simultaneously watching my husband with another woman created a whirlwind of emotions, jealousy warring with an unexpected thrill that left me deeply confused. Their passionate encounter ignited something primal within me. Every kiss they shared sent electricity through my body, and the symphony of their pleasure, hot breaths and skin against skin, created an intoxicating rhythm that quickened my pulse. They seemed to be enjoying themselves. "Shall we take things up a notch?" Frank's voice was deep and seductive in my ear, and before I could respond, he entered me with gentle precision. His movements started slow and deliberate before building in intensity. His expert touch spoke of years of experience as his hands found purchase on my hips, his lips blazing a trail down my neck. Waves of pleasure unlike anything I'd known before washed over me, intensified by the knowledge that Jacob was watching. Finding such ecstasy in a stranger's embrace. The combination of guilt and pleasure heightened every sensation. Jacob's sounds of passion with Sharon created an almost dreamlike atmosphere, and even as I reached my peak with Frank, my mind swirled with complex emotions. Tears began flowing freely down my cheeks. My body trembled with a pleasure I hadn't experienced in years, while all my pent-up emotions finally found release. The mix of shame, guilt, and intense physical pleasure overwhelmed me completely. Throughout the night, we continued exploring new configurations, switching partners multiple times. When Jacob and I finally reconnected, it felt like rediscovering each other anew, our previous concerns dissolving in the heat of passion. The suite became our private playground, filled with the sounds and sensations of four people lost in mutual discovery. Time lost all meaning as we continued until dawn's first light. Even after Frank and Sharon departed, Jacob and I basked in the afterglow. Though we'd ventured into territory we'd never imagined exploring, surprisingly, I felt no remorse. On the drive home, we exchanged meaningful glances, a peculiar yet intimate tension filling the car. Our connection felt deeper somehow, transformed by this shared experience. Jacob's hand would find mine as he drove, his touch carrying a new warmth that spoke volumes. "What's on your mind?" he asked softly, breaking the comfortable silence. I took a deep breath before answering, to be honest. Seeing you with Sharon stirred up some complex emotions. Jacob nodded thoughtfully. "I know exactly what you mean. Watching you with Frank, I felt jealous, but paradoxically, seeing you so fulfilled made me happy too. You're not worried this might have damaged us?" I ventured. "Actually," he replied, his voice tender, "I think it's brought us closer. We understand each other on a whole new level now." His sincerity touched me deeply, and through this raw, honest dialogue, we discovered a newfound intimacy in our relationship. The transformation in our intimate life was remarkable. Jacob's previous struggles with erectile dysfunction vanished completely, as if some invisible switch had been flipped. It was like watching him shed years off his age overnight. Our bedroom, once a source of frustration and disappointment, became electric with passion. We found our spark again, making our previous concerns seem like distant memories. The positive changes rippled through every aspect of our lives. Mornings became something to look forward to, filled with renewed energy and playful affection. The way we looked at each other rekindled that spark from our early dating days. We even found ourselves embracing a more active lifestyle, hitting the tennis courts on weekends and getting back into shape. I've particularly fallen in love with yoga, which has done wonders for both my physical and mental well-being. The practice has helped me tone up significantly, especially around my midsection, boosting my confidence to levels I haven't felt in years. It's as if we've discovered the fountain of youth, breathing new vitality into our daily routine. Our marriage has blossomed in ways we never imagined possible. Though I have to admit, we've become somewhat addicted to the thrill of couple swapping. Even now, twice a month, we indulge in these thrilling experiences with new partners, adding an exciting dimension to our relationship.